we haven't talked in a while, but have you guys seen? I'm assuming you guys have seen all the stuff that's been going on with Shohei Ohtani.
How would
right?
you not be able to see it?
It's all over the
true.
place.
It's been pretty much everywhere. You can't escape it. I mean, Noah, what have you been thinking looking at it?
I mean, there's just so much stuff, but I just feel like Ohtani is not betting on baseball or not betting on sports in general. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff, and it seems like
So you believe him fully.
I believe Ohtani. I believe Ohtani because I mean,
if you look at Ohtani, you don't look at him and see raging gambling addict when you look at
that,
him.
and also like people are like, oh well, like how did he not notice 4.5 million? It's like 4.5 million to Ohtani may have just been pocket change. He made 30 million with the Angels.
That is not pocket change, dog.
I don't know,
dude. When you're making that much money,
it's one thing if he's giving that to like his financial advisor and then his financial advisor messes it up like in a separate portfolio. It's another thing if you're giving it to your interpreter.
who knows? I mean,
Which
he may have given.
Granted, they were really good friends, but it's another thing if you're giving it.
What
to
if
him.
he just like said like, here, take care of my financials? That's happened more than once in like with celebrities. Like,
Why are you're Shohei Ohtani and you're giving that to your interpreter?
I'm not saying he's the most
Who-
intelligent man on the
who
earth.
allegedly graduated from UC Riverside, but the school has no record of him graduating from.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Obviously, there's a lie somewhere in here from one of the parties.
Look, there's. I'm not saying there's nothing fishy about
Noah,
this.
you and I are really good friends. I am never giving you my bank account information.
Okay, but I'm not saying that you should give. I'm not saying that would be good at financial advice, or I'm not saying that's good financial advice. I'm saying it's possible he may have done that. It wouldn't be the first time a celebrity has ever done that, given their financials to like some dude that then did some stupid shit with their financials.
But yeah, that a lot of the times in that case though, it's giving it to a guy who does stocks, giving it to a guy who handles private equity.
All right.
Not giving it to your interpreter.
Can we just say? I just want to say, can we just admire? No, not admire. Wrong word. That bro, 4.5 million. How down bad was Ipe, bro?
He lost every bet
Sitting at the
reportedly.
slot
I wanna
machine,
see-
spinning.
He
his-
reportedly lost
hitting the
every
bu-
single bet.
He was hitting that
What
button.
I would say what I heard too is that he wasn't even like cooking parlays either. It was just straight bets, and he lost that
Bro,
much.
I know.
Nah, he was hitting them slots.
Dude, he lost
Definitely
every
the
single
slots
There's
for
sport.
got to
roulette
be some
machines.
blackjack in there. At
Blackjack.
least a little bit. At least a little bit. But I mean the whole situation is crazy. Well, it's like right now people don't really know what to believe because a lot of people believe Ohtani's statement. He came out, said like, I never bet on baseball, which I believe. I never told anyone to bet on other sports for me, and I never bet on other sports, which that is a very believable statement, I feel like, for Ohtani. But the part where it gets weird, this is directly from ESPN here. Ohtani's camp initially said that he transferred the funds to cover Mizuhara's debt and presented Mizuhara with an interview for ESPN on Tuesday night, during which he laid out the process in detail. The following day, a statement from Burke Berletter. Sure.
Bretler?
I
think it's
Bretler?
Close enough.
Bretler.
Sorry if we
Burke
butchered your
Bretler
name.
LLP, the law firm representing Ohtani in the matter, instead said the two-way star has been victim of massive theft. Mizuhara then told ESPN that Ohtani had no knowledge of his debt and that Ohtani had not transferred the money. So essentially, the story went from he's a friend helping out his guy who's down bad at the tables or at BetMGM or whatever. And then it turned into he just got straight robbed. And I think somewhere in there it got leaked that his name was on two of the wire transfers as well. So that could be part of this. It could be trying to, what I think it really is now is they're trying to cover Ohtani from being legally liable at all, since a large portion of EPE's funds were owed to the bookie, which is very illegal in California and is very much not allowed at all. So that's really where I think it came in. But I mean,
Yep.
well,
But if there's two wire transfers of $1 million, I mean he he could just be giving it to him, knowing that he's in debt. But then he realizes going through these wires that there's 4.5 million missing. If there's a dude in debt, this is obviously where it went.
Yeah.
Like,
or he realized.
I don't know.
He realized who it's going to, but I don't know, guys. I mean, we got bigger things to talk about today. The 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates will play baseball in 1 day's time in Miami, Florida. Unfortunately, not in Pittsburgh. So we will not be in attendance in Miami, Florida. But full show for you guys today. Full 2024 preview. We're going to be which 2024 preview is going to be taking up a majority of the show, breaking things down position by position group, and also going over some projections, expectations, things we'll be looking out for 2024. Also going to be ending it with a bit of Rate the Take, Mike's favorite segment. So here we go. The 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates, we're going to go around the diamond a little bit, starting at home plate, starting with the catching group. The catching group in 2024, we're looking at Henry Davis and Yasmani Grandal primarily. Grandal is going to be opening the year on the IL, but it's looking like Davis going to be the guy. He's going to be getting that chance. With Grandal on the IL, Davis is going to be getting that chance to be the everyday starter. Noah, what are you looking for from Davis this season?
Davis, I mean, he was the first overall pick in 2021, and, you want your first overall pick to do great, obviously, and he was drafted for his bat. His bat looked horrible last year in the major leagues. He did not do good at all, but, spring training, he's looked outstanding. I mean, 4 home runs and 650 slugging percentage. I'm very much looking forward to it.
I think kind of the Yasmani Grandal, I don't ever want to say I wished an injury upon someone, because I definitely did not. But, like, in a way, this injury was... No, I'm not saying that. No. But, like, the injury was, like, a blessing in disguise for Henry Davis getting the catcher 1 spot. Because, like, I don't know. I feel like he got more consistent reps in the spring, so, like, that helped.
Opens the door now for Delay to start in the major leagues, who I think is a lot better defender than Grandal now.
Jason Delay wouldn't be bad either. I wouldn't even mind that.
I do not want.
I like Grandal.
I don't want Delay to be starting. If that's what you're trying to say, that he should be starting.
Oh no, not at
absolutely
all.
No. There was a time in there though, especially early on in the spring, where it was looking like it was going to be a 50-50 split between Davis and Grandal to start the season. But I mean, right now it's looking like Davis is going to be the guy pretty much until further notice. As long as he can run with it, he'll be getting that starting catching position pretty much every day, which I'm very much looking forward to.
I am too.
He looked really good. The biggest thing, we talked about it last week. The biggest thing he needed to upgrade was his defense. Some of the pass balls, some of the framing. It's what he worked on all offseason, and it definitely looked a lot better in spring. And that's going to be something we're going to need to look out for him. And as long as he continues what he did in even pieces of what he showed in spring training into the season, I think he's locked down that starting catching position, at least until the near future.
Yeah. I mean, he was your first overall. He was the first overall pick a couple years ago.
I mean, he batted 300.
He was the first. He was the first overall pick. He has to be.
The Pirates took him over Marcelo Meyer and Jordan Lawler that year, and a lot of people were like, "Well, why'd they do that?" And it was because they went later and got like Bubba Chandler and Anthony Salamito and Lonnie White Jr. overslap. But I mean, he was drafted for his bat, and you just want to see him hit. I mean, defensively, he's looked great. He's looked outstanding this in spring training. I mean, in the minor leagues, he allowed like a dozen pass balls in less than 800 innings, and that was like a major concern. So that's why they had him play some right field. But he's put in the effort, and I think you got to reward that effort with just seeing what he can do.
I just want to say too, when he was playing right field, dude had a cannon.
He did,
and it was nice to see.
Like, I saw him. I saw him
throw runners out from
Mike,
behind the dish, please, not from right field.
To be fair, Mike, we saw him hose Bryce Harper at second base one time.
Yeah, no. Keep that brother behind the plate, and he'll be starting pretty much every day. First base, a little bit more shaky, though. Currently rocking with a platoon of Connor Joe and Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy, not so big Rowdy Tellez. Mike, what are you thinking about first base, the platoon as it's currently standing?
Well, this is either going to be amazing or a complete disaster. I mean, Tellez got the power. We all know that. And then obviously we all know what Connor Joe can do, play multiple positions, which I don't mind him being the backup first, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's just not as good defensively. That's all.
I think you're overlooking how he can be defensively because he wasn't horrible last year. I'm not saying he's gonna win a Gold Glove, but he's gonna hold his own. I mean, Connor Joe didn't do bad in the second half of last year. I've told you this before, Mike. He had like the same numbers as Paul Goldschmidt in the second half of last year, and I don't want to hear about plate appearances and sample sizes.
No, I'm not even gonna sit here comparing to Paul Goldschmidt because he's not compared to Paul Goldschmidt.
I'm not saying he's better than Paul Goldschmidt. I'm saying he did as good as...
Even then, to be granted, I think that's a little misleading to say he had.
I'm not saying
Paul
that
Goldschmidt numbers.
He had
Paul Goldschmidt. Didn't have Paul Goldschmidt numbers last year.
Let me play my narrative ball.
True.
Let me play my narrative ball. But Connor Joe, I mean, I just think he's going to be okay. I mean, Connor Joe certainly wasn't bad last year. He was solid. And Tellez also looked great before he had his forearm injury and just like all the power that he had in the first half of the year just like completely went away. And I mean, he also hit 35 home runs a couple years ago. A big thing a lot of people were looking at was like, well, he's gonna... The shift, I mean, limiting the shift was going to help him a lot. And for the first 2 months of last year, it did. He was hitting for more average. I mean, he wasn't like, Luis Arraez or anything, but he's still hitting for more average. And up until that forearm injury, he looked like he was going to have a great year, more average, more home runs, and just it kind of took his power away and he could never get it back that year. And in spring training, it looked like he was getting back into that form.
I mean, as long as Tellez, if he comes into the season, I'm not expecting him to bat 300 or even be like 290 hitter. Like if he comes into the season and just bats, I don't know, say 235, 250 range and hits in the ballpark at 20 bombs, that's all I'd be more than happy with that.
I think that's totally realistic. I think that's totally realistic from him if you're going to put him in a platoon with Joe. I mean, you're going to play off their strengths.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's pretty much just you have to fill the position with some guys spot. So they're like, we don't want to start Connor Joe the entire year. So, okay, we'll bring in Tellez to kind of fill it out for this year. But it, pretty much a lot of teams do have those spots that are still platooned. First base just happens to be one of them for the Pirates. But there was another position that has gotten a little bit under fire with some Pirate fans based off just kind of how the situation went. And that's at second base. Mike, I know you have some feelings about it. Why don't you let us know?
So Liover Peguero is starting the season in AAA, which is just completely blows my mind. I mean, he was a good player. I don't get why he's down. I mean, they didn't.
Are you saying
that Triolo?
Mike, I'm looking at you right now trying to explain this, and you're looking at the heavens trying to look for an answer on why Peguero
I don't know.
It is not on the opening day roster. It doesn't make sense to me.
I was like, I don't think he did anything wrong in spring training to demote him. I mean, why not?
Look,
I mean, Triolo was good, but
Triolo was outstanding in spring training. He's a lot better than Peguero, and he's also probably could win a Gold Glove at second base. I think he could be the best defensive second baseman in the National League. I mean, you saw what he did late last year with defensively. I mean, the reason he's not at third base is because Ke'Bryan Hayes is there. And
okay, obviously, but Ke'Bryan Hayes is like the best fielder in the National League, period, regardless of position. I don't expect Triolo to take his spot. I also don't expect Triolo to be a Gold Glove or second baseman. Can he? Okay. He could, but it's not his primary position.
See, here's the problem.
Is primarily a second baseman.
Here's the problem, though. I mean, I don't think either of us have a problem with Triolo being the starting second baseman. It's just that Peguero not being in the major leagues, especially over Alika Williams.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. I wouldn't even care if Peguero was like being behind Triolo, but why is Alika Williams on the roster?
I'm not saying I support the idea, but I'm just saying that they're doing it because of playing time. They want Peguero to get everyday plate appearances, and he's not going to be able to do that in the major leagues. You're not going to play him over if you're going to give Triolo the job. You're not going to play him over Peguero. You're not going to play him over at third base with Hayes. You're not going to play him over at shortstop with O'Neal Cruz. And I mean, are you going to try him at first base or the outfield? I mean,
no.
So they just still want to give him more of a chance to develop in the minors.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's 23 right now. He's still 23. He basically skipped AAA. I think he played like 10 games at AAA last year. I mean, give him be a little patient.
Is he currently on the 40-man?
Yes.
Could that be part of it too? Is they had to clear a 40-man roster spot?
They're both on the 40-man. I mean, Figueroa's on the 40-man. Williams is on the 40-man.
Ooh.
I mean, Figueroa played last year in the majors.
And he did fine.
Alika still has options too?
Yeah.
See, this is what blows my mind. What does
don't
Alika
know,
Williams
man.
have on Derek Shelton
Mike,
and
you
Bob
know
Nutting? What does he have on him?
Mike, let me tell you something. You know why Williams is here, and you know why Williams is here, and I'm going to say it because
it's the
I
play
know
defense,
you give.
I understand.
Exactly, it's defense.
I understand. But no,
I wouldn't be too worried about Figueroa though. I feel like he's going to be coming up probably in May or June. I'd like to think either someone gets injured or it's just they're
Please
just
no
yeah
injuries.
he's killing it in AAA. We need to call him up. Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully it's somebody who's he's just lighting it up in AAA that they're gonna need to find a way to clear a roster spot for him. But one guy we are very excited about this year is playing shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Oneil Cruz. And we are hopeful for a full season of Oneil Cruz after the injury he suffered in early 2023. Only played 9 games. Guys, he's been looking just absolutely fantastic this spring, hasn't he? 7 homers, 273, 347, 773 slash line. He's looking like he's ready to go. Noah, you think he's ready for a full season?
110%. He's ready. I know people were worried about him like with his ankle injuries, like, oh, how's his power gonna play? And it's only spring training, but
it's played.
I mean, it's a 98.7 mile an hour exit velocity. If you still have ankle issues, you're not gonna hit the ball that hard. It doesn't. I don't care if it's spring training. You're not gonna hit a ball almost 100 miles an hour on average if you're having ankle issues. That's all. I mean, that's really the big thing that I'm taking away
The
from
most impressive
Cruz's.
thing too about the 7 home runs in the spring is that he did that. He hit 4 of them over a 4-game span, which is impressive. I mean, back 4 straight. That's pretty wild. I don't know. It's gonna be exciting. I mean, dude's got a cannon, fast, a lot of power. What's not to like about him?
40 home runs incoming.
God, I hope so. That would be immaculate.
I don't know about that, but he's hot. He's looking like he's ready to go. Alika Williams will be backing him up on any off days that are needed for him as well. And he could also be backing up Ke'Bryan Hayes over at third base, who Ke'Bryan Hayes, we talked about it a little bit last week as well on the outstanding summer that he had last year. 307, 334, 528 slash line in his final 305 plate appearances. Spring training, he's been looking absolutely fantastic. I think he's been looking the best on the roster of any of the position players. Mike, how are you feeling about Ke'Bryan Hayes and his expectations for 2024?
With him coming off such a hot second half of 23 and pretty much carrying it over into spring, I think Pirates fans, because the biggest thing with Ke'Bryan Hayes has been his hitting since he's been up in the majors, and I think now that he's starting to figure out, we already know he plays great defense. So I mean, if he gets the hitting down, I mean, he's not just like a top third baseman in the National League. I think you could start arguing that he's a top third baseman in all of baseball, especially if he gets the hitting down. I mean, we all know he's the best fielder, but hitting's been the most concerning thing, I guess, from the start of his career. But now that he's starting to figure it out, I feel like there's a lot of promise there.
I mean, he's always had the potential to be a good hitter. I mean, you looked at he hit for a ton of raw power and stuff early in his career, and he was still doing it last year. And it was like, well, when's he gonna start lifting the ball? And then he starts lifting the ball, and he has a slugging percentage over 500. I think that's like a guy that could be a 20 home run threat and still bat like 270, 280. He's never struck out much. He's always had an okay walk rate. I'm not worried about him like all of a sudden striking out 30% of the time and just becoming Joey Gallo. But I mean, he's just
so mid.
I mean, even if he gave me,
I don't even know if he's that anymore.
Even if Ke'Bryan Hayes gave me like a 260 average and 760 OPS, I'd be totally happy. But I think he's gonna hit way over that, obviously.
Yeah, from what we know too, he's still gonna be meeting with nuns this year, so hopefully that still pays off. But we'll be getting a little bit more into Ke'Bryan Hayes later as we head over to Rate the Take. But the outfield, new addition to the outfield, Michael A. Taylor, somewhat recent signing. We haven't had the chance to talk about it yet. 1 year, $4 million. Last year, batted 220, 278, 442 slash line with 21 home runs. That 21 home runs and that defense coming into the outfield in Pittsburgh going to be a big help. Noah, what do we think about the Michael A. Taylor signing?
1 year, $4 million. That's a great deal for a
400
not
million.
400 million.
Come on, brother.
400 million.
I don't know
crap.
about 1 year, 400. Hey, maybe it could be deferred like Ohtani's deal, and they'll just figure it
Yeah,
out.
we'll
later,
just
but-
give him like $500K a year.
I mean, he's.
Continue on.
I mean, the Pirates haven't had that much power in center field since Starling Marte and stuff. So having him out there, and he's also, I'm gonna be honest, he's gonna probably be their best defensive center fielder in a couple decades because he has the most defensive runs saved and the most outs above average among any center fielder since 2021. And I mean, the Pirates have a bunch of guys who could win Gold Gloves. I think. I mean, you're looking at three or four positions that could win Gold Gloves, and Taylor's gonna be one of them. I mean, give me 20 home runs and his near platinum glove defense in center field, and that's gonna be really valuable out there.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually very glad that they did this because I just don't fully trust Jack Sawinski in center field. So I think by doing this, you can now platoon him in center field.
Well,
With
so Sawinski's probably gonna go to a corner.
And then you move Sawinski to right field. I think that just benefits him way better. I mean, Sawinski, he just doesn't have the arm to be a center fielder. He just doesn't do it. I'm not saying that he's complete trash or nothing in the outfield because he's not, which I don't mind him starting in right field. But I like having the glove of Michael A. Taylor, not to mention the pop. So
Yeah.
I mean, I
Hey,
think
Mike,
it'll work
you
out
were
well.
saying it last week that Michael A. Taylor looks like the guy the Pirates should go get, and then give it what 2 days later?
2 days.
2 days later, he's a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Oh man, I was so
And-
happy, honestly. I just
And-
through the moon.
Yeah, there was another addition the Pirates did make this offseason in the outfield. Noah, why don't you tell us a little bit about Edward and what we could be looking for from him this season?
Olivares, we got him from the Royals for a minor leaguer that really didn't do all that great, so we basically got him for free almost. But I mean, I'm just kind of looking forward to what he's gonna do because he was not bad last year. He's an above average hitter, but I'm liking what they're going to be doing in right field with him and Sawinski because you now have someone that can help Sawinski against left-handed pitching because Sawinski can't hit left-handed pitching to save his life, but he's okay. But he's good against right-handed pitching. But Edward Olivares is kind of the opposite, where he's great against left-handers, and I mean he was much better against right-handers than Sawinski was against left-handers. But now you can platoon those guys and play off their strengths. And I mean he's fast. He has an outstanding arm. He made a couple really good outfield throws this spring, and he had one of the most powerful arms in baseball last year. And he was a former top prospect with the Royals and Padres, and his defense did not look great in right field, but he's also going from Kauffman Stadium, which is extremely, extremely spacious, to PNC, which is a little less spacious in right field. So I think his defense is going to improve a little bit, and platooning with Sawinski is going to really improve his numbers and Sawinski's as well.
And didn't report? Okay, I know we're talking about this in right field, but didn't reports just come out that Brian Reynolds we're moving him to right field?
Oh yeah, they're gonna
So,
put Reynolds.
why-
in
Yeah, I
right
believe
field.
Reynolds is switching to right.
Yeah, what? I didn't really understand the move. I guess.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I meant
It
to
is
say
what it
right
is,
left
but-
field that entire time.
What prompted
Olivares and Sawinski are going to be in left.
But what prompted
I
Reynolds to move?
I just
Was
think
that,
that's a better defensive alignment.
Me
no?
too.
Well, I agree. Honestly, you put Sawinski, Olivares in left, or if you really want, you say you play Olivares left, and then you have Taylor in center, Reynolds in right. I think that's pretty solid. Not to mention too, Connor Joe.
Gap in right center of Taylor and Reynolds is going to be really nice.
Yeah, I agree. Connor Joe can also play the outfield. Now we're talking about outfield. I mean, not that I expect him to play many innings out there. It's now with these other four guys.
He can start there every now and then.
Back. So I mean, you don't really need him out there.
And every once in a while, you could throw into the primary designated hitter for the Pirates right now, Andrew McCutchen.
That's true. He also
McCutchen
plays
back.
outfield.
Yeah.
Yep, back for another year. Suffered partial Achilles tear in September last year, and an elbow injury. He played through it, but his power production suffered a little bit. He's also this is something to watch early in the season. 1 home run away for 300, which would be great for Kutch, great for him to see him hit that milestone.
Getting it on opening day, home opener. Calling it now.
Home opener or opening day? Those are very different days.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot the Pirates have to play 6 games before they come back to PNC. No, 7 games. It's a 4-game and a 3-game. Now,
oh yeah, he's definitely got to hit a home run before that.
I'm gonna say first game of the National Series. First game of the
really. You don't think he's hitting one against the Marlins? He's facing a bunch of lefties, and he's really good against lefties.
That is true. Nah, I'm gonna stay true. First game against the Nationals. Book it. You heard it here first.
I think he'll get one soon. You know, getting a bit up there in age. Some injury concerns this year. Noah, how are you feeling out about McCutchen in the big 2024?
I think he's going to be decent. I mean, I think he should have been an all-star last year, if I'm being honest, because he had such a good first half before his elbow just started to bother him and stuff. And I mean, if his elbow's good, his Achilles is good, which, I mean, in spring training, he looked outstanding. So, I mean, I think he's back at full health. So, I think he's going to hit the home run within the first 2 games. I'm going to say the second game. Second game, he's going to hit the home run.
I don't see. DH is like, it's one of those spots where it doesn't necessarily always have to be McCutchen. It could be any of these dudes that were mentioned platooning. Connor Joe, Olivares, Sawinski. I mean, I think it really just depends on pitching matchup. Who's hot, who's not. But I feel like there's a lot of ways the Pirates can go. Hey, I mean, even it could be Peguero if you bring him back up. Depending, like, say he's absolutely hitting the crap out of the baseball and you can't really... But say Triolo's also hitting the ball. You can't take him out. Say you plug him in a DH for a little bit. I mean, it could be beneficial.
Yeah, one thing too that could happen with McCutchen as, you know, you get later into the season, you could see him get less and less at bats, just kind of how things go, depending on if he does rack up any injuries or just as you get later into the season. That could be something to watch for as well and could result in some more opportunities for younger guys. But, you know, of course, we want McCutchen back. As long as he will be here, he's welcome back on the team. But overall, the position player group as a whole, how are you feeling about it? Not the strength of this team for sure. We'll get to that in a second. But overall position group, Noah, how are we feeling?
Pretty confident in it. I mean, I think it's better than it was at the start of last year, if you ask me. I mean, it's a lot of the same returning guys, but still there's more depth. I mean, you got Taylor in center field. You got now you got Olivares, who can help kind of offset Sawinski. I think the defense is better because you're going to get Triolo at second base. That really wasn't there last year. And I'm a lot more confident at first base than a lot of other people are.
Well, first base is probably that position that, you know, like, I'll let it slide just because of how much depth we have around the rest of the diamond. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty solid. I mean,
the one thing I will say about first base is that if something happens to Joe or Tellez or one of them just does bad, they can always move Triolo to first base and bring up Peguero there. So that's another opportunity Peguero could come up.
That is also true. I feel like this team's just really flexible. They have a lot of dudes who can play a lot of position. And
that's another thing. Just a lot of positional flexibility.
An elite trait to have. So this is the most interested I've been in the Pirates season in a long time. Since 2015. It's most confident, I should say. Not interested. Most confident I feel in the Pirates.
Yeah. One thing I am showing some great confidence in right now is this pitching staff. We're going to start with the rotation, then we'll move on to the big strength of the bullpen. But Mitch Keller, Marco Gonzalez, Martin Perez, guaranteed starters. Jerry Jones won the final rotation spot. Looking like Bailey Falter's going to be the 5th starter.
No!
I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Mike, you don't look too thrilled about Bailey Falter.
No, not at all. Brother just gets teed off on. I was like, I shouldn't say that completely because he did have some good outings last year. I just feel like he's more of a long reliever in the bullpen type dude. I don't know. I don't want him to have the 5th starting job, but it is what it is.
I know a lot of people aren't confident with Bailey Falter in the 5th spot, and I'm not really either. But I don't know. I just feel like people are worried about it a little too much because, I mean, just look how much depth the Pirates have that they can call up. You got Domingo Herman, you got Eric Lauer, you got Quinn Priester, you got Josh Fleming, who can occasionally sit, all of which who could start games. You got Ortiz in the bullpen. You got Roansy Contreras in the bullpen. What they're probably going to do to start the year is Bailey Falter is going to be more of an opener, go, the first 2-3 innings, and then they're going to bring in Ortiz or maybe Contreras to pitch, another 2 or 3 more innings and get him hopefully bridge him to the pretty deep bullpen the Pirates have. But I mean, I know that people would rather just see, one guy there, this spot, give it to him and see how he does. But I mean, I don't absolutely hate it. I would rather have them have a one solid fifth starter.
The question there is there anyone else, any of those alternatives that you mentioned that you think would be better just filling them in now rather than doing the opener dance and then trying to fletch every 5 days, trying to fletch and then stretch out that bullpen for an extra day?
I would rather. Do we think
Germán can be that guy? He's one of their newer signings. He does have some off the field issues. Some of them have been coming up recently. Do we think Germán could be that guy? Maybe Priester, Lauer.
I like Priester. I would have I would have given Priester the rotation spot if I'm being honest.
Ooh.
Ortiz. Why Ortiz?
I don't know. He just had his stuff was just nasty. I mean, he had a solid spring. I mean,
he's hitting high 90s with his
contributed.
Sinker.
Yeah, exactly. High 90s on a sinker. That's nasty stuff. And he's shown already that he's been good in the pros. Like he can be.
No, who did you say?
Priester. I like Priester.
Priester.
I like Priester too.
God, I remember being at that his first outing. I bought the tickets. I was so excited.
We don't have to talk about that.
Just to see him get shelled.
I
was so depressing.
Got shelled, didn't he?
It was so depressing.
I would have rather. I still would have liked Priester in the rotation. I mean, he didn't look bad after he got called up, and in spring training he looked decent. I think he should have gotten the 5th spot if you ask me.
I don't know too. I think it's
Priester's. Is he still on the major league roster? Did they announce that?
I think he's going to AAA to start the year.
Yeah, I don't think he made it. No.
I don't know where the spot for him would be if he's not in that rotation. So.
I don't know. I think one way to look at it too.
He saw some options left. He should be okay.
Yeah, one way to look at it too, with 5th starter. I mean, realistically, it's only till like June essentially, because then Paul Skeens will be coming up.
I was gonna say it's not going to matter by the time June. It's not going to matter by the time June comes around because it's just going to be Paul Skeens, which I'm very much looking forward to.
It's a lot. That's a lot of assumptions to make that he's going to come up and be the savior.
I'm not saying savior. But he better be good enough to be a lockdown 5th starter when he comes up, or I'm gonna be really upset.
That is true. That is
I'm
not.
Saying.
Look, give me.
That is definitely not anywhere near where his ceiling is to be lockdown 5th starter.
Give me Paul Skeens with 120 innings and a 3.80 ERA his rookie season, and I'll be completely happy. That's all I'm saying. That's the only expectations I have for his major league rookie season.
Yeah,
the bare minimum.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Skeens. For now, it's looking like Falter's the 5th guy, but as a whole, I think this rotation's looking pretty good. I am amped that our boy Jared Jones was able to get that rotation spot. He's gonna look great, isn't he?
Absolutely, 100%. He's
100%
pumping high 90s fastballs with rising action.
Dude,
I was like,
him and Paul Skeens got the best aura in the league. I can't wait.
He should be getting one of the starts in Miami.
I think he's going to get a start. I think they said that he's going to probably be the opening day starter at PNC, which is going to be electric.
Oh, yes,
that's going to be absolutely electric.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you could always go Bailey Falter in an opener. Do the opener in the 4th game.
That'd be the eighth game of the year, so he would rotate through. If he's the 4, then
absolute electric.
Ooh, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great to see. Looking forward to it.
With Jared Jones being there too, it's something the Pirates don't normally do, and like
I think it was the first time since like the 1998 or something that they started a guy in the major leagues who had 0 service time in the major leagues already. So just great to see.
And you never see it, so it's like the tides are changing, and you'll love to see it.
Yeah, and one thing I love to see is this Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen.
The Shark Tank's back.
I'm looking at the roster right now. David Bednar, Aroldis Chapman, Ryan Borucki, Ryder Ryan, Josh Fleming, Roansy Contreras, Hunter Stratton, Ortiz, Falter. But that's looking That's looking really good right there, man.
I mean, Mike, two were missing. Carmen.
What are the pieces you like in this bullpen right now?
Ooh, I mean, Bednar by far. He's top 5 closer in the game. That's obviously the headline.
Top 3.
Top 3? Yeah, we'll say top 3. We'll say that. I think 2. Right now, it's not at full strength, so it might be a little tough to start the season, just trying to find footing to kind of replace Holderman and Mlodzinski, who are basically the setups.
Be rough.
I mean, Holderman and Mlodzinski. I think Aroldis Chapman fills a pretty good void with Dauri Moreta. So, I mean, but not having Holderman and Mlodzinski is kind of going to leave an opening in that, like, 6th, 7th hole. So it's going to be interesting to see the start of the season, like, who's going to fill that in right away. So it might be a little rough experimenting, but I think once they're fully healthy, that this is by far a top 5 bullpen. I mean, MLB.com had them ranked number 3, which about time they get respect.
Yeah, both of them. It's looking like they're gonna be coming back soon. Noah, who are some guys, some under the radar guys you're gonna be looking for some big things this season in the pen?
Under the radar, I'm very much looking forward to Hunter Stratton. He had a great second half in the minor leagues last year. ERA under 2, struck out over a third of the batters he faced in the second half, and then he got called up to the major leagues and he did pretty good. And I'm pretty sure he did not allow run all spring training. And I mean, he definitely deserved with Moreta out. He definitely deserved that bullpen spot that Moreta left behind, and especially with some other injuries, there's no way he wasn't going to make it. And he's just looked great all spring. I think he's kind of, you don't really hear about too many bullpen prospects or anything, but I think he's going to be decent. I'm also looking forward to Braxton Ashcraft, who's a prospect. He was the 2nd round pick by the Pirates in 2018, and he had a ton of injuries for a lot of years, but last year he came back and was great. They kind of use him more as like an opener. None of his starts lasted more than 4 innings, even though he started 19 games. But I think eventually they're just going to say, yeah, we're just going to have to move him to the bullpen, because how are you going to take him from a guy that's...
should.
I mean, how are they going to take a guy that's never pitched 60 innings? Like, all right, here you go. Here's 130 innings. Good luck. I mean, that seems like such a massive jump in workload. That's like, especially last year after you saw like him have that massive spike in velocity when he was pitching shorter outings, and especially in spring training too. He looked great in spring. That I thought he was going to get a bullpen spot because he looked so good. But I mean, he'll probably be up. He's on the 40-man roster because the Pirates had to protect him from the Rule 5 draft. So I probably expect him to be up sometime early in the season if there's an injury again. But I think he's probably the team's best bullpen prospect.
No more than we.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. Please. I'm hoping not another injury. But if one does happen, I'm not going to be upset to see Braxton Ashcraft, because I think he's going to be outstanding.
Yeah, bullpen as a whole, very strong. Some pretty good depth in there too, especially considering with what's going to happen in the rotation. It looks like you're going to be able to have the ability, if you want to have some long reliever guys in there as well. But I mean, I think this bullpen is really going to be the lifeblood of this team and determine if they perform as we project they're going to perform. It's going to mean some more success for the Pirates, which right now, we'll get to the projections in a second. They aren't too kind to the Pirates at all. But this bullpen, if you're looking at it, it's looking pretty locked down. So Pirates are going to be playing some six inning games this year. And then, once you get to 6, 7, 8, 9, it's going to be locked down for the most part. So as long as those early innings go the Pirates' way, it's going to result in a lot of wins, as long as the bullpen can lock it down. And by looking at this roster in the bullpen, it's looking like they're very much going to be able to. But, we went over the whole roster now, a couple strengths, couple weaknesses as well that are in there. Noah, any weaknesses you're really concerned that could hurt the Pirates this year?
Just kind of the back end of that rotation. It's like, we're kind of relying on a lot of young guys. We're relying on Bailey Falter and Luis Ortiz to be good enough to bridge it until we get Paul Skeens here. And I mean, I like all the young talent. It just is a lot of young talent, and who knows how that'll work. I hope it works great, and I'm very confident in it because I'm a Pirate fan. I'm optimistic, but I'm optimistic about it. So we'll see how it plays out, but it is a lot of young talent, and I can see why someone would be questioning how this would do, gambling on all that unproven guys and breakout candidates and stuff.
looking at the projections, I think the PECOTA projections are one of the things questioning that right now. They currently have the Pirates at 71.3 wins and 90.7 losses, finishing last in the NL Central amongst all the teams.
Chance.
No
chance.
Do any of us think the Pirates are finishing last?
Look, let me
No.
look at the
Absolutely.
at that Cardinals rotation, and you tell me with a straight face it is better than the Pirates. Look at that Cardinals rotation without Sonny Gray, who knows how long he's going to be on the injured list for. But you're really telling me that Miles Mikolas is their number one starter right now, and they're going to be that much better than the Pirates?
Funny thing, Noah, you mentioned the Cardinals. I just pulled up the PECOTA projections again. The Cardinals are projected to finish first in the NL Central with
Bullshit.
There's no way.
Bullshit.
There's no way. There's
Dude,
no chance.
you're not going to
They're
tell
not
me
better
that
than the Cubs
you're
or
not going
the
to tell
Brewers.
me. You're not going to tell me that a rotation with senior citizens in it is going to do better than the Pirates at this point. You're not. I mean, Miles Mikolas was good at one point. But
it's not really like it's close if you look at the spread. So St. Louis is at 84.2, Chicago's in second at 81.2, Milwaukee's at 79.3, and then the Reds are at 78.6, and then the Pirates at 70.
Look, I'm just saying, take these.
PECOTA just thinks they're a whole lot of mid.
Essentially a 7-game difference between the Pirates and fourth place is what is projected.
I'm just saying though. I'm going to take PECOTA with a grain of salt because last year they said both the Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers were going to finish below 500, and look where they ended up. I mean,
That's very true.
Yeah, I mean, Diamondbacks were a bit of
they
a
also had.
Cinderella
I'm pretty
run
sure
there.
they also said.
I don't know if
To be fair, the
I don't know.
Diamondbacks only made the playoffs because Seiya Suzuki missed that ball in right field against the Braves, and they sold the game. That game
The
right
point of the
there, they
matter
lost,
is-
and the Diamondbacks jumped them to get the last
the point
spot
of the matter
of the
is.
playoffs.
The
So
point of the matter
they
is.
can
I don't
thank
know if I
Seiya
would take
Suzuki
them.
for that.
The point of the matter is, I don't know if I would take PECOTA projections to heart because I've seen this happen so many times where a projection says, "Oh, this team's gonna do so good."
Yeah.
I think every year they've been about 10 wins off from the Angels, who, I mean, I get why they have them high, but still,
where are they at for the Angels this year? Hold on, let's take a look.
I'm
73
They gotta be
and a half
putrid.
wins. So that
How
the Angels
they
are
better than
projected
the
to have 2 more
Pirates?
wins than the Pirates.
No way.
no, they
There's
have
no
Mike Trout,
way.
and that's it. Mike Trout's the only player on the Angels right now that's better than anyone on the Pirates, and who knows if he's
Hey,
going to stay
Miguel
healthy.
Sano, Angel legend, is now there.
What is this, 2017?
Don't
Let
fear.
him hit bombs.
I think Miguel Sano just added 8 wins to their roster. But okay, well, yeah, PECOTA projections, like Noah said, taking them with a grain of salt. They are fun to look at though and speculate with. But looking at this Pirates roster, we're looking at a lot of good, which is something, that wouldn't be the same to say the last few years. But looking at a lot of good, a lot of things to look forward to. And especially now with expanded playoffs, could this be a playoff team, Mike?
Oh, 100%. I don't know. The NL Central they're saying we're not going to be close, but it is the most open division in baseball. I mean, in my opinion, there's no true front runner. I think we always play each other tough. So, I mean, it can go any direction. And I think every year the Pirates were good, they were so underlooked before anyways. And then they just kind of chipped along all year and then proved that they were a playoff team. And then everyone's like, oh, yeah, Pirates are good.
Mike, you are a betting man. If you were Mizuharu's bookie and you had to put some money on it for him, would you put money on the Pirates making the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I would 100% do it. And whatever the win total is set at.
Seemed a little hesitant there.
What? No.
You're thinking on it.
I would 100%. Yeah, because you never know. I mean, it could get real testy. I mean, you figure, say we don't win it, and then you have. Oh wait, why am I drawing a blank here? Then you get the Braves, the Phillies are gonna get in. There's already another wild card, and like Diamondbacks, Dodgers. The Dodgers are gonna get in. There's just so many teams, so I guess it comes down to the wild card essentially if we somehow don't win the division. But the division's so open, so I'd take the chance. I'd say yeah. Whatever the win total is too, I would take the over because there's disrespecting crap out of the Pirates.
71.3 wins is way low. I mean, this team won
there's no way they're
76
gonna get
wins.
5
This team had a record above 500 in the second half of the year, and for most of that second half of the year, they were going on they were just MacGyvering a rotation because they had Oviedo, Keller, and then you were seeing Colin Selvey making opens. You were seeing Cody Bolton pitch.
Colin
You were
Selvey.
seeing
Don't even get me started.
You're seeing Andre Jackson
pitch.
pitch. You're seeing Andre Jackson pitch. It's like you're telling me that they're really going to get that much worse after having like basically a rotation being held together by duct tape and Flex Seal at that point to get to the end of the year, and all of a sudden we lost how many wins? We're losing 5 wins, even though we got Marco Gonzalez, who has a history of being a solid and durable starter. Same thing with Martin Perez. We're starting Jared Jones in the major leagues. We added Edward Olivares. We added Michael A. Taylor, Rowdy Tellez, and we have pretty much the same core coming back. And here's the big thing that I feel like projections are just completely overlooking: the fact that we're not going to have like just 20 different shortstops, and we're actually going to have one shortstop who's really good there. You're not going to see Alika Williams starting every other game in August and September like you did last year.
God.
You're gonna have O'Neal Cruz there, and he's gonna be really good if you ask me. It's a lot more solid this year if you ask me.
The thing is too, and what could end up being the Pirates' path to the playoffs is the NL Central did not really get better, like at all. Like
no, exactly.
The Brewers lost Corbin Burns. The Cubs probably did the best, adding Shota, and then they got Bellinger back.
Isn't Devin Williams hurt too? For the Brewers? Isn't he like out 2 months or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Devin Williams out for a while. The only the Brewers the Brewers added
what St. Louis do?
They
Sonny
added
Gray,
Sonny
but
Gray?
he's hurt. He's hurt.
Dude, they added Kyle Gibson and they added Lance Lynn. What are you talking about?
Oh, Kyle Gibson's going to win the Cy Young.
Lynn, Brandon
He's
Crawford,
a Cy Young winner.
Sonny Gray. That's your projected division leader, everybody. But I mean,
No chance.
the NL though is looking very stacked outside of the Central. I mean, the NL West, you're looking at 4 playoff teams, and Colorado is also there. They will not be a playoff team, but you're looking at Dodgers, San Francisco, Arizona and San Diego are all contenders to be playoff teams. Then you look at the East, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Mets, no.
Maybe Miami.
Maybe Miami. I'm feeling Miami more than the Mets, probably.
Yeah.
But then you look at the Central, and you're starting to run out of wild card spots. I think maybe Chicago could be there in contention if they don't win the division. But I also think the Pirates are going to be in that conversation, whether it's wild card or the division. It could be a bit of an AL Central situation this year where none of the teams are really that good, and then it's just kind of like the guy who makes the playoffs is the team that happens to be in like one of the worser divisions in the league, and what probably is the worst division in the National
Give
League.
me my playoff spot.
Yeah, I don't care how
we will
I
100%
don't
take
care.
it.
You just got to get there.
if it-
That's all I care
if it
Do
about.
is
the
the
Mike
NL
Tomlin
Central.
meme.
But
we do not care.
that could just be the path for the Pirates looking into this year, and very optimistic year. One of the more optimistic years in a while. Big year for Cherington. Big year to show some development, especially for the young guys. Skeens will be coming up this year. Could see maybe a bit of Tamar Johnson at the end of the year. Possibly.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but hey,
We'll-
I would
we'll
accept
see.
it.
We'll see.
Maybe.
I just wanted to throw that out into the universe in case there is anything that's listening that can make that happen, because that's
Well,
something I very much want to see.
It's certainly there.
Mike, it's that time of the show.
Rate the take. Rate the take.
We'll get a chant or something going for future ones. We'll get like a recorded sound. We'll get the soundboard going. But rate the take, taking your takes from across the internet and reading them out and giving them grades, seeing how we're feeling, seeing how the fellas are doing. And guys, something I just want to let this be known, because I was talking to Noah before we started recording, and he was like, you didn't say that. I'm like, yes, I did. Last week, I said on the show that Ke'Bryan Hayes could be a dark horse MVP candidate. If it's going to be anybody on the team, I think it's Ke'Bryan Hayes. And one of the takes we saw this week on Twitter was that Ke'Bryan Hayes will finish top 5 in National League MVP voting. Mike, are you thinking he's getting there this year?
That is I shouldn't say insane take, but that is certainly a take if I've ever seen one. I mean, I fully expect him to be very, very good, but to say top 5 in MVP voting, I don't think he gets there. But he doesn't have to be to have a successful season by any means necessary. So I don't know, maybe, but I'd be fine even if he didn't, as long as he improves.
I mean, he did so good if he didn't like he did last year in June and through the end of the year, through the second half, I think and with his defense, I definitely think it. I mean, how often do you see a player not be in MVP conversation after hitting 300 with a slugging percentage over 500 and is the best defender at their position? That would automatically make him an MVP candidate. He would probably finish top 3 if that happened. But I mean, I think that he could even fit. I don't think it's completely out of the question that he could finish top 5. I think that's quite possible he could, if he hits 280 with a 450, 460 slugging percentage, and he gets that, and he has his outstanding defense at third base. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. wasn't the best hitter at his position. He was a good hitter, but he was a great defensive shortstop too. I mean, it's another case where defense and good hitting can lead to some MVP votes, and I could definitely see Hayes finishing pretty high up there in MVP voting. So I'm not gonna say it's impossible. So
there's just a lot of dogs out there in the National League. So
there are a lot of dogs.
I will say that the one thing I will say, I think he can be the best player in the National League Central.
Well, honestly, yeah, I agree. That definitely.
You had to think about it for a second there, Mike.
It's like, yeah, he definitely could. We ain't exactly the strongest division in baseball.
I don't think this year he's going to be a top 5 guy. If I had to bet on it, I don't think he would be in there. I definitely think in the near future it is very much a possibility. If not, winning the whole damn thing is also very much a possibility. But moving on to a little bit of something we saw on Twitter that I immediately saved and was like, I really want to talk about this on the show. Straying away from the Pirates a little bit, but we'll get back there to wrap it up. But John Boy, this is a direct quote. I didn't want this to be taken out of context at all. He said recently, I believe this was a few days ago, he said, quote, Rob Manfred saved the game. That's going to be his legacy in 4 years. I honestly think that's going to be his legacy in 4 years when people forget how much they hated him on the day-to-day stuff. Noah, Mike, are you guys agreeing with this at all?
No. Not at all.
Hard no.
Even just from the casual fans, it's just like they all talk, like he's probably the most hated commissioner among all the major sports leagues. So how am I going to sit here and say that, yeah, his legacy was great for baseball? I think what saved the game is all this flashiness from the players. The swagger. I mean, you look at Tatis. Okay, don't look at like the steroids part of it, but you know what I'm trying to say. He's got swagger on the field.
And
what
the part of Tatis's career are we looking at?
Love seeing dudes go up there and absolutely pimp a home run and bat flip and wearing all the Jordan cleats. I feel like that's gotten so much more viewership.
I don't know. I think that's just part of the development of players in general. I don't think that's really league specific to baseball. That's something you've seen everywhere else. I mean, you've seen it kind of in basketball too and football a little bit, but they didn't really have that many rules in place or unwritten rules like Major League Baseball did. I think MLB would have turned that into a marketing ploy regardless. I think a lot of the big business stuff that has been going on lately with kind of expanding the games, doing some of this stuff, which, by the way, while we're kind of talking about this, can we please bring back the Field of Dreams game soon? I don't know why that's not a thing. Wait, what? They got rid of that? They're doing some construction. There wasn't one last year, and there's not one this year. Dude, they're doing they're doing the game in Alabama where I believe Willie Mays used to play, correct?
Yeah, they're doing that one. I'm pretty sure this year.
Yeah, with Giants and
I missed
Cardinals.
I missed the Little League game where they all had the jerseys with the nicknames.
Oh, that's true. That was fun.
But yeah, like I don't really know how much you can credit one single commissioner to saving the game, just because there's so many moving parts, especially with what the owners approve and what is put on him. Like in the same way, I don't want to give him too much credit for all the good things that have happened. I don't want to throw as much what we would view as bad things in the past that we didn't like, rule changes, whatever it may be. I don't want to throw that all on him as well, because it's a part of a bigger system. There's ownership, there's a lot of things in there that kind of play into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the rule changes and stuff, everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna ruin the game and stuff." It's like we saw a growth in viewership and attendance last year.
I was one of those people.
Part of it was probably because of COVID. Like we're just slowly we've seen COVID restrictions completely go away the last couple of years. But I mean, like overall, I definitely think the rule changes helped a little bit. That's not to say Rob Manfred saved the game. He's the best commissioner ever. But some of the stuff he did helped. I mean, some of the stuff he didn't do, you could argue. I mean, it's going to be like that. Like you said, it's going to be just like kind of the nature of the game and how things evolve with rules and stuff. I mean, look how rules were like 100 years ago. Things are going to change. Things are going to go. There's going to be good periods. There's going to be bad periods. Is it really all on Ray Manfred for both the good and the bad? I don't think so.
I think people are starting to see that more too as more stuff comes out. Like we just kind of saw it in the NFL with some of the rule changes they had. That was like, yeah, the owners want to do this. Nobody else does with the hip drop tackle, but the owners want to do this, so we're doing it. I think people are seeing that more so now that the commissioner really isn't like the president of the league. It's really just controlled by the owners, really. And then there's a lot of moving parts in that system. It's not like he doesn't have as much control over everything as I think people initially thought, and I think people are really starting to pick that up. But I think saying he saved the game of baseball, I think it's really impossible to say really anyone saved the game of baseball. I think it's a bit of a stretch. I do think, though, part of where I agree with him is where in saying, people are going to kind of forget, time kind of heals everything, and people are going to forget kind of how much they disliked him and be like, some of the rule changes that happened under his reign, maybe they were pretty good. I definitely see that happening.
I don't know. I just feel like after it moves on, I feel like people are just going to be like, oh yeah, he was a commissioner. And then that'd be it. Like, yeah. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh yeah, I miss Rob Manfred so much.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's all going to be a perspective for whoever the next guy up is, and when 2029 is when he said he's going to be stepping down.
I believe so. 2029.
I think so.
I feel like that feels right. So
I think it'll just be in perspective for whoever comes after him. It'll be like, say the guy after him is great. Everyone will be like, oh man, Rob Manfred was terrible. Dude after him sucks. Everyone's going to be like, dude, where's Rob? We need him back. Somebody get Rob on the phone. It'll just all be in perspective. But one thing that's been going on lately, guys, I've seen a lot of discussion about Paul Skeens starting in AAA. There's a lot of people that are upset. There's a lot of concern just in general that, why isn't he up here? He was the number 1 overall pick. Wyatt Langford got called up by the Rangers. He's going to be starting on opening day, which I think there are a few reasons why Skeens isn't there. We mentioned it earlier. Bailey Falter's looking at the 5th spot. Like, wow, it's going to be so great when Skeens comes up. Why not now, Noah?
Skeens has not pitched more than 5 innings in a game since the College World Series. That's the big reason why I think. I mean, people are going to say, oh, yeah, service time, this and that. It's like, service time is a factor, but I mean, he hasn't pitched. I think
service time is more of a valid reason almost.
But it's like, he hasn't pitched. The last time he pitched more than 5 innings in a game that wasn't a simulated game, unless you want to count those, was the College World Series back in last June. It's been a while since he's been stretched out to go like 5, 6, 7 innings. I mean, he looked great when he was doing that, but I mean, he hasn't done that in we're approaching a year since the last time he did that.
Are we expecting Bailey Falter to throw that many innings?
No. I don't.
So then why not have Skeens up
Because
there?
we don't.
you don't want to
Because
halt
we
the
don't want
development.
Skeens to blow his elbow out. Also, I mean, Bailey Falter, he's more used to going, 3, 4, 5 innings at a time. Skeens hasn't done that since last June again. I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm not saying service time isn't a factor. Service time's absolutely a factor, but he also last year he pitched less than a whole game's worth of innings, and he started like 4 games. He was mostly used for like 1 or 2 innings at a time, and then he pulled him because they wanted to put him on a strict innings limit. Like, we're not going to overwork him. We're just going to let him get used to professional hitters, but we're going to put him on a strict innings limit. And probably this year they're going to be like, all right, we're going to slowly drip feed him more innings. Like, I would say that he's probably going to throw 160 innings this year if I had to put a number on it.
Considering how much too that he threw in college, I think it made a lot of sense last year to throw him on that innings limit because, getting into May, June, he was throwing a lot. And after he was drafted, let's chill out a little bit. But so what you guys are saying is that it's going to be better overall for him to get that development in AAA and then just kind of slow it down for him a little bit. Get him used to that every 5 days, which I think is what the Pirates' plan kind of is right now, is get him used to that every 5 days before we try to make him jump a level. Because, if you're moving between AA, AAA, that's, it's a jump, but it's not jumping to the MLB. So you want to get him used to that, get him as prepared as possible before you fully throw him up, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel like there's really a reason to rush. I mean, you can look at other scenarios playing out with other prospects like Jackson Holliday. He, as good as he did for the Orioles in spring training, I mean, there was talk about it last year, him even coming up in September, which would have just been insane. Same with Skeens. They said the same thing, he might come up. But like they sent Holliday down, and it's just to give him playing time, without forcing him into the big league game. I mean, that could halt development and everything, and then boom, it's a big disaster. And you definitely don't want that with Paul Skeens because, I mean, let's see he's probably the best pitching prospect since Garrett Cole. I mean, he has to be, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't want to mess that up.
Yeah.
In the Pirate system, at least.
In the Pirate system, total, but
people have just become so spoiled to seeing guys like Juan Soto go from the minor leagues to the major leagues and skip 3 levels in the minors. It's like, I understand that people want to see these guys in the major leagues, but it's like, in the end, you still got to be a little patient with some of them. I mean, I'm not saying that Skeens is going to spend the entire year at AAA. He's going to, only September call up. No, I mean, give him till like May, and I think he'll be okay.
Yep.
See, I'm agreeing with you guys, but I think it's primarily for a different reason. I'm honestly not. I believe in him enough that I think he could come up immediately and give you, 3-4 innings and then, kind of rotate it out almost kind of like what's going to happen with Bailey Falter. I definitely think that's
but they don't want him to do that though.
And I think
they don't want him to be like,
they want him to get.
I understand.
They want him to go at least 5 innings every start.
You build it out as the season goes, kind of like the Giants are doing with Jordan Hicks right now, because he's transitioning from his reliever role to a starter role, where they're building him out as the season goes on. Like, okay, we're gonna give you 3 innings, we're gonna give you 4.
Yeah, but like I feel like it's different too because
keep going as it
Hicks
goes.
actually has.
Jordan Hicks has been in the majors for years now.
He has time in the majors while Skeens doesn't.
Skeens is still a prospect. I mean, I mean, they're not gonna have.
I think he's ready enough though to do it, but I don't think the Pirates. I don't think there's a need immediately to call him up until his service time does pass, which I believe is 15 days or so from opening day.
I mean, they have more depth right now than they did in that second half of the season when it was really just Keller and Oviedo, and then the rest were openers. So I like to say, like, just to get through 2 months before Skeens comes up, that is completely doable.
Yeah,
I think so too.
They can be patient, grab that extra year of control. You're getting to the point where a lot of young guys are starting to come up. Some of them you won't be able to extend for one reason or another. And that extra year of control is going to matter. Whether it's a trade to get some prospects back because you're out of your contention window, or you're in that contention window and you need Paul Skeens to be your ace.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I mean, I think it's just going to be about stretching him out sometimes.
Yeah, well, on the same page for different reasons, but we're all mostly there. But we will be there watching the Pittsburgh Pirates first game on Thursday in Miami. Keller versus Jesus Luzardo. They will be in Miami all weekend. We will have a show for you on Monday, following Easter Sunday, kind of recapping pretty much the entire Pirates opening weekend and them getting everything going in Miami, and then previewing as well their next couple series until our next show. But thank you all for listening. Fellas, you have anything to add before we head out?
Please, at the bare minimum, split the series 2-2. That has to be the floor. Please, Pirates.
I'm going bold. We're going for the sweep. 4-0 to start the year, baby.
I'll give it I'll be in the middle between you guys. I'll give it a 3-1.
Oh god, I hope it's 3-1 or 4-0, but I'm just saying
I'll take that
no
too.
worse than 2-2, please. No losing record going to the National Series.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. But all right, that's our music. We gotta get going. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
TV or down at the